Welcome to the Soul Survivor Outdoor podcast, coming to you from Carlsbad, California. I'm with my great friend, Chip Martoccia. We're going to talk a little bit about Best Ranger. It's the Army's competition, and we're headed out there again this year. Amazing, amazing. But before we get to that, I just want to talk to Chip a little bit about, why did you, what drew you to Soul Survivor Outdoor in the first place and keeps you coming back?
Yeah, thanks, Rick. It's great to be here. Yeah, I heard about it from a friend of mine, and he told me what you guys were doing. And coming from a military family, it immediately resonated with me. I thought it'd be a great opportunity to give something back to the military community. But even more exciting was the fact that you did a lot of cool stuff. And as a volunteer, you would get to go out and teach people to surf, rock climb, skeet shoot, jump out of an airplane, do all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah. And the best part about it is that we're able to, give our testimony to these young men and women that may or may not know Jesus, may or may not have even thought about what their life would be like with Jesus in it, or acknowledging that there's actually a God.
Right.
And so, yeah, all of that sounded really great and super fun. So
you mentioned coming from a military family. What does that mean? What I think you've mentioned to me in the past, your dad served what branch of service?
Air Force. He was a captain. He flew B-25s.
Wow.
Yeah.
So before we go too much further, as we talk about the Rangers and everything, you were into some athleticism kind of things yourself.
Yeah.
Talk about that for a minute.
I grew up in South Florida, and we were around the water all the time. And when I was 10 years old, I came home and announced to my parents that I wanted to join the swim team. They said, okay. And that was kind of the start of a 15-year career in swimming that took me all the way through college. Went to ASU, Arizona State, and swam for them.
Yeah.
Swam on the U.S. national team. Went to Olympic trials in '84. So it was fun. I mean, it was a great experience. It really taught me a lot of discipline, taught me how to trust people, my coaches. Mm-hmm. After that, I graduated from ASU and then moved back to South Florida, and I found myself wondering what I was going to do, not only just with my life and my professional career, but what I was going to do competitively, because I couldn't grasp not being competitive athlete. And so I got talked into doing a couple of triathlons and then ended up in triathlon for 10 years.
Well, so in case you're wondering, do you need to be some kind of superhuman athlete to be able to do what we do with Soul Survivor Outdoor? You do not. And I think that for Chip, it has definitely been an appeal. You like to be in the water. We do quite a bit of surfing in California, and so you've been part of that too. But just getting out, being willing and ready to be outdoors and be around military service members. I know that you have personally experienced, maybe you've been as blessed as the service members. Maybe talk about that for a second.
Every time I go out, aside from the fact that we're doing something really fun and super challenging, it's being able to converse with and really kind of get to know some of these young men and women that are still in their kind of formative years, I would say. In their very early 20s, and start up a conversation with them about, how they're doing and where they came from, where they, what their goals are, where they see themselves in 5 or 10 or whatever years is, it's great. It's really fun to talk to them and ask them why they came out, whether they have any spiritual background or whether they're just out there to have fun one day because they got a day off. Yeah, it's really rewarding, and it's especially rewarding to see, when we have lunch out in the middle of the day. We have a catered lunch, which is always pretty amazing. And then we'll have someone come up and speak and give a testimony or just talk to them about, what it is that we do. Our ultimate goal is to get them thinking about what does my life look like? Where am I headed? What have I anchored my life to? Mm-hmm. What is my identity? Some of these kind of bigger picture questions that I don't think they're probably getting asked a lot. And at that age, those can be some pretty hard to answer questions. So being able to kind of speak to them in an environment where it's not like they're not sitting across the desk from somebody in some high-ranking official asking them these questions. It's just, you're just hanging out. You're teaching them to surf or teaching them to rock climb, right, or crawling through a cave or jumping out of a plane. And so it's an environment where I think they're able to let their guard down a little bit more and not look at you like, who is this guy asking me all these weird questions? So it's a way to really connect with these young men and women, but more importantly, it's a way to get them to really start thinking about bigger picture stuff, like the most important things they can think about. Like, are they on the right track? Are they spiritually fit? Are they acknowledging that there's someone bigger than themselves?
You bet.
Yeah.
So, that's a great place to jump off to Best Ranger, because, somebody might say, well, isn't that a competition that the Army does? And the answer is yes. Why would you go there as an organization? And we go because it gives us an opportunity to meet a whole lot of different people, senior leaders, and the people who actually give us access to the active duty military community from the Army. And so we meet lots of influential players there, get to shake hands, pass out business cards, and then also consume a really fun event. We were just talking out over lunch today about this event. So just kind of describe what you were going on to talk about. Like the Rangers, they are part of Army's Special Forces. What does that look like? Who are these people that are competing in that competition? Being an athlete yourself and having a very unique perspective on that and having done hard things. What does the Ranger competition look like?
Yeah, so the first time that I went out there was with you, and 3 or 4 years ago, and I didn't really give a lot of thought to like what it might look like. I knew that anytime you get a bunch of special forces guys together and you're trying to figure out who the best best one is, it's going to be pretty intense. But I didn't really like do a lot of research on it. I was going out there to, do the things that you talked about, which is engage with senior leadership, get to meet the people that are out there. It's a big event. It's well attended. There's a lot of people there that support the military, which is our demographic. I didn't have a whole lot of preconceived notions about it, but it didn't take very long for me to figure out that what they were doing over the course of 3 days was, without question, the most intense athletically, from an endurance standpoint, from a mental standpoint, like having to go through 3 straight days of, I believe it's 40 different events, that everything from, the typical like running and swimming, like endurance type events, to things that are required of special forces, like being able to shoot all kinds of guns, being able to jump out of helicopters, being able to navigate your way through the darkest, most overgrown woods at night, being able to make your way through an urban environment with people shooting at you, obstacle courses like I've never seen and I would never attempt. But it just goes on and on and on. And then there was just pure, CrossFit type workouts. So strength and endurance was a huge part of it, but different events where it was totally dependent upon your ability to stay calm, your ability to think through a problem. It was incredible. And I've never seen anything like it. And just purely from an athletic and endurance standpoint, I mean, something like the Tour de France, where they ride their bikes for 3 weeks, is pretty brutal. But, and don't get me wrong, that's an amazing, amazing event. But this is a much more than that. It just requires a amazing amount of cognitive engagement where under duress, with very little, if any, sleep for 3 days, figuring out problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it just was incredible. It blew my mind. Like I'd never seen anything like it.
No, and we stood at what they call Victory Pond. It's, I don't know, that's their last event at this point. They have a run near the end. But I remember you saying, I've done all kinds of different races, endurance, obstacles, all kinds of stuff, and there's not a single one of them that's right up there with this. And I think this, obviously every service member is not a ranger, but it also speaks to the larger community of the military, of just what people go through to be physically fit, meet the demands mentally too, socially, spiritually, everything to be able that goes into that, as it applies specifically to the Army Rangers and that competition. They're firing innumerable weapon systems. They're covering, close to 100 miles in 3 days. They might get 4 total hours of sleep or something, limited food. They're doing all kinds of different first aid evolutions and carrying, dead weight body dummies around and doing, coming out of helicopters in various forms, jumping into the water and swimming a mile with a raft towed behind them. It's quite fascinating. And then it just blows your mind what they do. And again, the whole thing about what our service members, they all train, maybe not to that degree, but they all have to meet certain physical standards. These are all young people that are running in that competition, but the audience that we serve is young. And so it's pretty awesome to watch that whole thing and then know that, that these are the people that are serving our country and protecting us.
Yeah. I remember the first year coming away from that going, okay, like we're going to be fine. Like in the final, they cut down the number of teams every day. So they're 2-person teams. It's not just like, you go out there and do your thing, like, which is what I always did. You just go out and do your thing. And you just try not to focus on anybody else. You just, the less people that pass you, the better. That's kind of endurance athlete.
Yeah.
But this is, it's 2-person teams and you have to finish together every single event. And last year was the first year that they had a female on one of the teams and I'm not sure how highly they placed, but it was high. It might have been the top 10.
Yeah.
And so that's amazing in and of itself. But yeah, you come away from that event and you just look at the amount of dedication and time and effort that these men and women have put into being able to be that fit, like that amazing of a war fighter, and all in the name of like doing this for their country.
Yeah. Because
at some point, those are the people that are going to be called up.
That's right.
When stuff starts getting a little chippy.
A lot of these folks have, some of these folks have been in the headlines lately, and it's a hard job, and they deal with a lot of stressors and everything that we don't. And as Christians, you and I both know we want to impart this to them. We see this as the kind of person that's willing to raise their hand, and we don't want them to have there be any mystery about, where their salvation, where their life foundation is. They need it to function well, both on and off the battlefield. And so, yeah, it's really cool to be able to go out there, see how well they perform, and the level of physicality and even the mental wherewithal that they have to do that, and then meet these leaders and have more and more opportunities to be able to do that. So, yeah, I'm super stoked and excited to get back out there. It charges us. I think I want to run out on the obstacle course and start jumping over things. And that's probably the last thing on earth that I ought to be doing. But it's really motivating to see them get out there and do that. And then it just really gives you a lot of pride, in our military, in our country, the honorable nature of the people that serve in our military. And I know you see that when we're out. We were just rock climbing, 2 weeks ago, and you got to meet a few Marines and a couple of sailors out there. And so, it's those engagements.
Yeah, they're special people. They've taken oath to put their life on the line. Not that many people are willing to do that.
No.
And, especially these Rangers, and when we do see, some of the special forces, like guys and women, they more than most are going to be the tip of the spear a lot of times. It's just amazing that people are willing to do that. And it's really, really cool to see them be able to put themselves out there for everybody, but also to be able to display their skills. It's really cool. And then even just, going out and doing what we do, which is we typically don't get, elite special forces people out with us. It's usually, a younger subset of the military, and there's still so much opportunity there for us as a ministry and a Christian organization to be able to affect lives, kind of get them thinking about, bigger picture questions like I was talking about before.
You bet.
And I think that's more important than anything, really.
Absolutely.
Is their salvation. Thinking about the kind of person they want to be, the kind of husband or wife they want to be, the kind of father or mother they want to be. So I think the more we can go out there and talk to them in an environment where they're not training, they're not being yelled at, they're not being told to do something, but they're actually having fun.
Yeah.
I think it's such a great idea. It works so well, and we see the results of it. We see them commit their lives to Christ.
Yeah.
Every time,
Absolutely.
Every single time we're out there.
And Chip is, he and his wife, Katie, are, they're volunteering and they are donating. They're part of our team. Everybody needs that rock solid foundation. We're giving it to them. We're sharing that with them, that it's Christ. What I also find interesting amongst the special operations community, and I've gotten to know more of those folks within the Army than with other service branches, just as God, I guess, would direct it. So it's just an amazing opportunity that we have to be able to share with them that life that they can have. So they all need that purpose and that foundation. And so, I guess we'll wrap it up now. And we'll maybe come back to you guys and talk about what Best Ranger looked like this year. Guys, check out Soul Survivor Outdoor, exciting stuff. We have a video about Best Ranger that's out there. You can check that out. I think it has the most views of anything that we have out there because it's just amazing to watch. And so we've covered that pretty well, almost like a news story. So check it out, soulsurvivoroutdoor.org. I'll talk to you soon.